What's up, people of God? I am your boy, Sir the Soul Man, and I'm coming to you live from my studio. I didn't bother to dress up with anything because I didn't think it warranted me dressing up, but it's some things I want to share with you guys today. I'm trying to do a recording on my YouTube channel as well, which I don't hardly ever use, but I wanted to use my YouTube channel today because, there's a lot happening in the world right now, and I wanted to share something with you guys about some of the things that are happening. I actually thought about not commenting on this, but I decided I'm going to comment on it because it's getting really, really out of hand. I've listened to, I guess you might say I listened to a lot of comments, and the most amazing thing is that a lot of people got their opinion. Everybody has an opinion, but the truth of the matter is your opinion doesn't matter. No, it doesn't really matter. The only thing that matters right now is right and wrong from a biblical standpoint, okay? We're talking about Bible. We're not talking about what you call right or what you call wrong. We're talking about what God calls right and wrong. Now we know, and we've been taught for many, many years that there's a such thing as what God considers right and what God considers wrong. But oftentimes we're not in agreement with God, and we have our own view and our own opinion about a matter, and 9 times out of 10 it goes against everything that God says to be right. I only ran across this story yesterday, the Metcalf and Anthony story about the young black guy who stabbed the white boy. And this Charleston White has really gotten under my skin because he really sounds stupid. He really sounds stupid. I've listened to some of his responses in the past. He's almost like a Candace. He got the black skin, but he white on the inside because he don't have nothing good to say about black people. He doesn't seem to have anything good to say about black people. And this case is really not a black and white case. If the boy was white that did the stabbing and the boy that was stabbed was black and the same situations occurred, I promise you, I would still take the same position. Self-defense. Plain and simple. Self-defense. So I listened to this
Born in the 60s?
this response by Mr. Charles White.
Born between 1960 and 1969?
And I said to myself,
If so,
no,
you can get $250
homeboy got a problem. I read the comments of many of those that tuned in.
Because we're giving away these $250 gift cards
got a problem.
free to anyone who was born between
So I want you guys to
1960 and
listen
19...
to some of what's being said.
Wouldn't jump.
I listened to this dude as well. Didn't like what he
Anybody,
had to
unless
say.
you're looking for money and fame and you're racist,
And I
wouldn't
watched some of
jump
his
on the bandwagon
content.
and saying, I'm gonna put
Thought he
money
was pretty
for a
cool.
kid that killed another kid.
No wonder God convicts black people, because black people got a heart.
See that? Dumb statement. He's speaking for God all of a sudden now.
They want to get back
Can't
at
speak
white
for God.
people.
He can't speak for God. Mr. Charleston White, you need to wake up, bro. You really need to wake up.
I want you guys to
This
think of the
is
last
not
movie that made you think, that challenged
a
you, that
racist
inspired you.
situation.
Angel Studios is bringing these kinds of films to the world.
No, we don't want to about your sponsors. Let's get to the story, to the gist of what's really going on here.
He's wrong. You're under somebody's tent, which you shouldn't have been, right? They could have compassion.
Now listen to the story. Here's what this, if you haven't picked up on the story. Young black dude is at a track meet, probably there with his friends, and he's hanging out under the tent. So the two white boys approach him and tell him, he doesn't belong under the tent. Well, first of all, it was not your tent. You didn't have the authority to tell nobody. It didn't matter if it was the little boy Anthony or someone else. He had no authority to tell somebody who could sit under that tent. That was the first problem. Secondly, I don't know if they had any altercations in the past. It really doesn't matter. But right now, there must have been some animosity going on between them at some point, because the young black boy was a sports star, so to speak, in track and football. And these guys, I guess, were also sports fanatics. And so there may have been a little rivalry going on there. So secondly, he told him, don't touch me. And so he ignored the warning. And you know, the Bible tells you, say, you know, destruction always comes before a warning. A warning comes before destruction. Well, he warned him. He said, if you touch me, you find out. So he big and bad enough, and that's what he did. So, you know, I think part of the problem is this climate has been created by the whole magna atmosphere. People really feel like they're superior and they can do what they want to and tell you what they want to. That's what the problem is. That's what the problem is.
You sit under their tent when it's raining? They could. They don't have to. They ask you to leave. You refuse to leave. Then you say, touch me and see what happened to you.
No
Therefore,
right
he's planning to use deadly force against kids under the tent where it's raining at. And I guess they pushed him out of the tent, grabbed his backpack or something, and then he stabbed somebody in the heart. Anybody, unless you're looking for money and fame and you're racist, wouldn't jump on a bandwagon and saying, I'm going to put money for a kid that killed another kid. Unless...
Dumb statement. Very dumb statement. So that's the one story that's trending right now on social media. 9 times out of 10, you know, my prayer is that he gets justice, okay? Yeah, it's a sad thing that the young white boy has died. It cost him his life. But someone made the comment about he should have just picked up his stuff and left. Well, the 2 twin brothers should have just mind their business. Just left the dude alone. He wasn't hurting nobody sitting under that tent. But you know what? They think it's a white and black issue. This is not a white and black issue. This is a plain, simple self-defense. And that's all I'm going to say about the matter. That's one thing I wanted to share with you guys. Another story I want to share with you.
You're saying he's guilty,
like I said,
but I want to help his family. Because
I only learned about this the other day. It seems that they've raised over $200,000 for the young black boy, Anthony, for his defense fund. And I guess there's a little bit of, the other family is upset because they haven't raised nothing for the other one, for the young white boy. And again, they're making it a black and white issue. It's not a black and white issue. It really isn't. It's a right and wrong, self-defense. That's all it is. And that's all I'm going to say about the matter. I saw this story. I was really blown away about it. Wow, I was really blown away. And the comments are blowing me away because, you know, see, this is a...
Limited edition Golden Birthday Plus Puppies are raising things
This is
for
one of the problems that exist within the family of your average white family. Children talk back, they challenge authority, they say what they want to say. That doesn't happen too frequently in black families. So if you're raised in an environment where you can do whatever you want to, you think you can do whatever you want to, that's going to spill over in society and it's going to become a problem for you. I think this is the case in this situation right here.
In the Carmelo Anthony case, and I have to let y'all hear this because this is the piece I have been missing, that I have been waiting for the witnesses, for the students around the situation to see what happened, and this is what he had to say.
Trying to get back to their cars or
This is the witness.
get in, you know, places where they, you know, wouldn't get all extra wet. Dude was sitting up on the tent, right?
Minding his business.
My daughters was up on the same tent. Yeah.
He's talking about Carmelo.
I'm paying attention to my kids, but at the same time, they're in the same vicinity, so I'm watching everything going on around it because I'm there for my children. So, dude walks up, McKellen, bro, he wasn't even under the tent at the time. They came from a whole separate tent.
He's talking about the twins.
They intentionally went over there to this kid, man. Dude was sitting there on his phone, just trying to get dry.
Carmelo was on his phone.
Man went from another. They grabbed this man.
Grabbed
and
him.
They tried to punch on dude. Dude went and with they went to try to jump this dude and punch on this dude, man. And he protected himself, dude. That's what happened.
Mind you, this man does not know Carmelo.
That's one. It was both of them, bro. Austin, that dude that got unalive, and his brother, we went over there to intentionally. He had it's not to the point that he brought a knife. For one, it wasn't on school property. The school is
wasn't on school property.
Miles away.
Yeah.
It was community track meet, bro. It wasn't a school track meet.
Thank you.
Next is the lawyer of the Carmelo Anthony family, and last video is from an activist group.
Retained this morning, defense attorney Derek Walpole agreed to speak on behalf of Carmelo Anthony's family.
I know that my client said that it was self-defense. I don't have any reason to disbelieve that, but I need to develop facts and talk to people and figure out what's going on before I make any statements about what I think happened. I don't have any reason to think it wasn't self-defense at this time.
And I believe that in America, I always tell this, and I'm just going to speak truth to power in this situation.
Speak the truth.
It is crazy that America tells us to accept the self-defense claim of George Zimmerman, Kyle Rittenhouse,
Listen to that.
and so many other people. But when the shoe is on the other foot, that claim is absurd. And I just gotta call a spade a spade. No matter what my personal views of a case may be, it is quite contradicting for America to come back and say, oh, Kyle Rittenhouse can have it, George Zimmerman can have it. All of these individuals that don't look like the color of my skin can't have it. In the state of Texas, we live in a state where yet you can walk around with a permitless carry. You can walk around with a brass knuckles.
Very great.
You can walk around with a knife. You can walk around with all these things. AK-47 in the state of Texas.
Listen.
And then as soon as you see a black person exercise those rights, we now have a problem. And that's not me spitting hate or race or bigotry. That's the facts.
Racism is not just a moment.
Yes, that's the facts. It seems like it's convenient for them to yell self-defense when it's a white policeman shooting a black person, or it don't even have to be a white policeman. Just a white ordinary person like Zimmerman. But it seems like when we want to utilize, because it is a case of self-defense, all of a sudden it's a big controversy. We got to look at it a little bit more closer. There's no chance, there's no possibility that it was self-defense. This is the world we're living in. I saw this clip the other day, and I thought this was very, very interesting.
It's not just a slip.
I'm going to share this with you guys right quick. Speaking of policemen.
Cop decides to body slam a black male. His own dog, the canine, turns against the police. Here it is.
Watch this, watch this.
Why he asked you? What did he do? He didn't do that. Oh my God! He's biting him. He's biting his ass.
Yeah. So you the cop, and you gonna take a young black dude and throw him on the ground. He ain't did nothing, just walking by. You gonna throw him on the ground, and your police dog turns on you and start biting you. Let that sink in. You know, right is right. And it don't take a genius. You don't have to have a degree to determine or discern what is right and what is wrong. He was dead wrong. The dog proved it. I just had to share that with you guys because, you know, we're living in some crazy times right now. And it's unfortunate that it's not getting any better. It's not going to get any better. Because anybody that believes that you're superior or you're better than another individual because of the shade and the color of your skin or your culture, you're obviously mistaken. Because we bleed the same, we sleep the same, we eat the same, we crap the same, we may not think the same. And that's where the problem lies. Because if we would just get on the same page with God, God sent his only begotten son. We're supposed to be Christ-like. That's what we're supposed to be doing. But many today, they don't want no part of Jesus. Nah, they don't want no part of Jesus. They ain't got no time for Jesus. No time at all. So that's all I want to say about this here Anthony and Metcalf situation. It's clearly self-defense. If the shoe was on the other foot, I would still say the same thing. Same situation, self-defense. If two black boys had approached the white boy and told him he needed to get from under this tent because he don't belong under this tent, and the white boy pulled out a knife and stabbed it because he was being jumped and he was afraid. And you know, when you're afraid, you do things that you probably regret later. But he protected himself. I would still say self-defense. That's all I'm going to say about that matter. I wanted to share, this is another story that making the news. A helicopter crashing.
From the director of the...
And I watched the clip and I thought to myself, you know, and you guys, I say this often enough. Before you leave your house, I think you should pray. It don't matter who you are. If you're a believer in Christ Jesus, I think you should pray before you leave your house.
Conglomerate were killed. We now get more from Fox's Eric Shawn.
Divers returning to recover pieces of a helicopter that fell apart midair and plunged into the Hudson River in New York City on Thursday. All 6 people on board are dead, including a family of 5 visiting from Spain. The mayor of Jersey City saying Friday morning the family was celebrating the mom's 40th birthday when the crash happened. The NTSB and FAA now investigating what went wrong.
What we are doing here is gathering the perishable evidence, the evidence that we need to gather for our investigation.
The helicopter was operated by New York Helicopter Tours, and radar reports show it was in the air for less than 18 minutes. Just minutes before the crash, investigators say the pilot radioed in, alerting the team on the ground that he was going to need to land right away to refuel.
We have a whole team that is collecting the standard information, pilot qualifications, logbooks, history of the helicopter, maintenance.
The FAA identifying the helicopter involved as a Bell 206, typically used by sightseeing companies and police. A chopper of that same model lost power and made an emergency landing on the Hudson back in 2013. While investigations are underway, aviation experts say recent maintenance will likely be a focus.
And see if everything was done to the exacting standards that are supposed to be followed.
The videos appear to show the main rotor blade detached from the fuselage of the helicopter in midair. That all part of the investigation. In New York, I'm Eric Shawn, Fox News.
Locals. I saw the clip and I was very surprised by that because I said it's very unusual for a rotor to detach itself. And when you see the clip, I think you would very wonder yourself what is going on. Was there not a maintenance attached to this, a maintenance schedule concerning this here helicopter? I'm a firm believer. Before you leave your house, pray, people of God. Pray and ask God's divine protection. But you know, the truth of the matter is everybody don't believe in Jesus Christ. Everybody don't believe in God. And so Unfortunately, when you're one of those individuals and you don't believe in the Lord, then guess what? You leave yourself open for whatever the devil wants to do. The Bible says he comes to steal, kill, and destroy. And so, unfortunately, he's doing his job. And if you don't have a relationship with Christ, you leave yourself wide open. Here's another story that was all over social media for a long time. The situation with Miss Angie Stone. We are aware of the fact that, we are very much aware of the fact that there's something fishy going on there.
What did you do?
So, I want to
saved her.
Share this clip with you.
Okay, so it looks like we might finally be getting to the bottom of Angie Stone's passing. And the more we find out about her, the shadier the situation looks. And at this point, it's starting to get nastier and nastier every single time we talk about this. When we first found out about Angie's death, we thought it was just a simple, tragic accident, no more, no less. But it didn't take long before the red flags started waving, and boy, were those flags bright red. First, everything we were told about the accident was a big, fat lie. Then we found out about how the driver behind the wheel of the truck that Angie has suddenly gone missing, and a whole lot of other details that just didn't add up. Well, it didn't take long for Jaguar Wright to step in and confirm our suspicions, claiming that Angie's death was a setup and that it was no ordinary accident. But that's not all, because I'll Be Sure also hinted the same thing, and he took it a step further to hint that this might all be tied to the whole Diddy case. It looks like there might be more to this story than we ever thought possible, so let's break this down. When the drama started, we thought it was all about her fight with UMG. See, in the weeks before her passing, she revealed that she found out that UMG and were stealing from her. She revealed that the theft was the reason she continued to work hard and was unable to retire after so many years in the industry.
I was very surprised to learn just how talented she was. A recording artist, a producer, a songwriter. She had her hands in a lot of things. And so the story goes is that for the last 40 plus years, they had not been paying her royalties. And so the person that was, I guess you might say, was responsible was the person that was head of the record company, the very well-known Mr. Clive Davis. And he's been connected to other questionable debts. And so, I don't know. It's amazing to me that you decide to blow a whistle on somebody and the next day you're dead. Yeah. But you know, there are people that they've been doing their dirt so long and they're so high up. That's why the Bible says spiritual wickedness in high places. You know, they're so evil, they're way up there, and they believe in their mind they're untouchable. So I guess he's at that untouchable stage. He also is connected to P. Diddy, and the story I've gotten involving P. Diddy is that, P. Diddy was his boy. He was like his mentor. He was P. Diddy's mentor, Mr. Clive Davis. But when P. Diddy came out with the different vodka labels, the different vodka, he found out they were not paying him what was rightfully due him. And so he sued the alcohol companies. And when he did that, those were friends of Clive Davis. And so guess what? He didn't have Clive Davis protection anymore. So I guess in so many words, he sicked the feds on him. And so now he's in the trouble that he's in now. Guess what? Be careful who your friends are. You might laugh with them. You might smile with them. You might have just as much money as they do. But to some of them, you're still a nigger, okay? You're still a black man. To them, you're not even a black man. You're still a nigger to some of them. You know, they're so rich up there in the higher echelon. And it's a sad thing to say, but that's the reality. And you know, guys, I don't like to, how would I say, beat around the bush. I like to keep it real. And I keep it real with you. You know, there are some people in the world that don't love God. And some people will never have nothing to do with Jesus Christ. There are some people in this world that they love Satan. That's who they serve. That's their God. And you need to know the difference when you're dealing with those people. If you don't know the difference, you're already halfway in trouble. Here's another story I wanted to share with you. This is about a post that someone posted concerning a white lady posting that she still have her chains and her ropes, and she's looking for a good tree. So I guess you might say she was threatening all the black people and letting them know that, yeah, she's ready. So y'all, you listen to this one. Listen to this one. I thought it was very, very interesting that MAGA has allowed some of these people to think it's okay and it's cool to be racist. No, baby, it's not cool to be racist. No, this is not the one. This is the one about segregation, because they were talking about segregation, about Trump bringing back segregation. No, that ain't gonna happen. That's not gonna happen. Let me see, where is that story? I want to share that story with you right quick. Yeah, a lot of things are happening in the world, and unfortunately, there's two sides of the fence. You're either going to be, okay, wait a minute. This is not the one. Yeah.
Old lady. And I seen a post out there by somebody named Tiffany Smith that says she still got her ropes and her chains. And she just ready. Well, Tiffany, I need you to understand, I'm ready too. I'm waiting. Now, I'm hoping that you don't go off down that yellow brick road, because the odds ain't gonna be who waiting for your ass. And if you think that you're going to get to relive some from way, way back, you sadly mistaken now, little girl. Now, I know you go on down there to Mount Vernon and Jamestown and Williamsburg and all them places and try to relive your glory days, but I'm sorry to tell you, that's as close as you're going to get.
Tiffany? And Tiffany Smith only. Because you was a bold and brave bitch. But see, I'm one of those that ain't wrapped too tight that you gotta tell every now and then. That's a bit too much. I'm trying my hardest to tone it down. But bitch, if I ever saw you the outside, I know you would not have that same mother.
Child, Tiffany Smith said she got her chains and her ropes ready for when they take back this segregation law. Tiffany, all I'm going to tell you is you might get away with it in the north. You might even get away with it in the east. Probably get away with it in the west, but you fuck around and head I-75 south and cross over that Georgia-Florida line. Baby, you, the ropes, the chains, Mima, Papa, Lil Kai, Lil Phillip, Lil Casey, and Lil Amanda, that's his grass. I can guarantee you, you mess around and...
Hey, my people. Grace to hear once again.
Yeah, so whoever this person was, she posted that she got her chains and her ropes, but then someone really researched it, because you know when you put stupid stuff on social media, people can find out who you are. They can find out where you live. They can also find out where you work. And so somebody did some deep down researching, and they found out obviously she used a fake name, and so the name Tiffany Smith obviously is somebody deceased. So she talking a bad talk, but she's hiding. You know how they do, throw their rock and hide their hand. So, yeah, I saw this post and I thought to myself, there's some people that actually think segregation's coming back. Segregation's not coming back. Jesus will come back first before segregation come back, because you know what? It done ran its course. It was an opportunity for everybody to kumbaya, okay? Get together, love one another, the way God intended it to be. But instead, some people, they decided to serve Satan. And because they decided to serve Satan, we never got together like God intended for us to be as a people, as humanity. Okay? All nations, all different colors. It was supposed to be one big family. But you see, Satan wasn't going to allow that. So some of y'all anti-God, y'all didn't want to go with the plan, and so that's how racism came about. And you know, you had a whole generation growing up believing that they were superior. And then that lie was perpetuated with the next generation. And that's why you have the problems that you had in the 50s, the 60s, and the 70s, because the lie was perpetuated. Ain't nobody superior. God created us all equal. But unfortunately, some of y'all don't belong to God. Okay? If you're a Christian, then there's a certain way you're supposed to live. And if you're not living that way according to God, then you've been lying to yourself. And the day is coming when you will stand before the great I am, and he will judge every word you've ever spoken. He will judge every deed you have done. He will judge even the thoughts, what you intended. So, people of God, yeah, we're living in some crazy times right now. We got a president that thinking he can do whatever he wants to. He's trying to throw democracy out the window and make it a dictatorship. It ain't gonna happen. Some people believe that it will, but Jesus will come back first. I'm sorry, I don't know if I introduced myself. This is the very first time I'm actually recording on my YouTube channel, but I'm SOULman. I didn't dress up for this broadcast. I just thought I would. It's how I've been all day, dirty. I'm gonna go take me a nice little shower after I finish broadcasting this live broadcast. But, you know, before you leave your house, you should pray. If you ask God for divine protection, he will give you divine protection. So if you get in a helicopter, you won't crash because you've asked God to protect you. And if you do crash, you will still live because you asked God to protect you. If you get into an altercation with someone that's being bullying you or being mean to you or being racist toward you, well, there's a good chance that you might survive if you're wrong. But you're a believer, you trust in God, you just made a mistake, you'll survive because you asked the Lord to protect you. But you see, people don't read the Bible, and the Bible says Satan has come to steal, to kill, and to destroy. He don't discriminate. He don't care who your mama or your daddy is. He don't care what nation you belong to. He don't care what religion, what your belief systems. No, he doesn't care. If you do not make Jesus your Lord and Savior, and try to live a life that is pleasing to God, then you're outside of that divine protection. And bad things, that's why bad things happen to good people all the time. We can't continue to put ourselves in a position where we are victims, or being victimized by the evil in this world, and then get mad with God because things didn't go the way expected. Even the Bible tells you to mind your business. Mind your business. Don't go around looking for trouble, because if you look for trouble, there's a good chance you're going to get some, and you might bite off more than you expected to chew. Your mouth might write a check that your butt can't cash. So, I'm your boy, SOULman. That's all I wanted to share with you today. Those are some of the stories I ran across. People worried about Trump bringing back segregation. Folks posting things on social media talking about they got their chains and they ropes and they were looking for a good tree. Baby, them days ain't coming back. I also watched a clip where, I want to share this with you right quick, and then we're going to get on out of here. Because I saw it and I said to myself, I say, wow, you know, are we not learning from our mistakes? So here's one I want you guys to listen to right quick.
Do you know what eating cabbage can do to your heart?
I thought it was very, very interesting. And you might think so too. So let's see. If we can just get to it, would be nice. You know, but I always got to deal with the commercials, so we're going to go and deal with the commercials. But in this next clip, the guy was commenting about the fact that Trump said he wanted to deport everybody. And so that's what he did. A lot of people was deported. But after they deported folks, they realized that, well, who's going to work them farms that them people he deported had been working? And that people that didn't have a problem with working those farms. So, I want you to listen to me. Why is this taking so long? Yeah, I know why, because they don't want me to show it. But I'm going to show it anyway. Because I need to show it. So I want you guys to listen to this here. This was very, very interesting.
Like this, come back and talk about it.
I have a question for the rest of America. Does anyone even care about Nebraska? Does anyone even care?
Nah. Next question. I don't know if y'all have been keeping up with Nebraska farmer talk, but they are getting exactly what they voted for. Nebraskan farmers overwhelmingly supported and voted for Donald Trump. The same Donald Trump who ran a campaign with one of the biggest promises being the deportation of illegal immigrants. Mind you, most of the people who work on their farms are illegal immigrants. But now, months after the open book test, they're finally starting to study, and they're realizing that if Trump implements his mass deportation plan, they are going to lose a majority of their workers. And if they lose a majority of their workers when their fields become as empty as a J-Lo concert, they will go bankrupt. Well, so now they're on here crying and complaining about how they're going to lose their farms, and nobody seems to care. I'm going to hold your hand with a napkin in between when I say this. We don't care because you showed that you don't care first. You are getting exactly what you voted for. Trump was very loud about his plans for mass deportation, but because your brain is as smooth as satin and your last two brain cells are fighting for 10th fucking place, you weren't able to put two and two together. So now they're on here crying and complaining to us, asking us why we don't care that they're about to have concept of a farm. Stinkabutt, what do you want us to do? Have you considered pulling yourself up by your bootstraps? Maybe round up your couslings, your sister wives, your husbands. Y'all work in the farms. Unfortunately, there's been a tariff placed on thoughts and prayers, so I don't have those for you, but I did write a song for you. Old Nebraskans had a farm, ADIOS. Peace and love.
Hey, Nebraska, you need a tissue for your issues?
I don't mean to laugh.
Hey, Nebraska, save the drama for your mama. What happened, Nebraska? Did voting for Trump ruin your economy? Oh, that's weird. That's so weird. It's kind of like we told you so, right? Oh, I love this. I like to stick it in your face and rub it in. It's kind of like, when Trump was telling everybody he was going to come after the undocumented people in this country that were working hard and deport them, that they would kind of move to a state they felt safe in. And apparently, Nebraska wasn't one of them. They packed up their stuff and they headed on out to a state that would welcome them with open arms. So now you're going bankrupt. And as somebody that lives in a blue state, I could give a shit less. Boo-hoo. Oh, and I can't wait for the hated comments. I can't wait for it. You voted for this! You voted for this! And now you're getting it. So why are you mad at us? We didn't vote for this. Nope. We voted completely against this. You voted for this. I better not get one BS comment. Not one. Not one. Oh, how mean you are. The stink. You're so mean. Shut up. Shut up. I'm not mean. I'm just giving you what you wanted. You wanted this. You voted for it. You made your bed. Now lay in it. Have a day.
Hey, Nebraska. I hear that you get to be Trump's next bankruptcy. Good for you. Way to go. See, your racism and your transphobia and your hatred of women was just bigger than your sense of self-preservation. Yes, it was. And now you're going to lose your granddaddy's farm. See, just like during the pandemic, when there were all of these subsidies and bailouts for farmers, but they went to the mega corporate farm.
The thing that I find so amazing about this is that I guess he didn't give it any thought. Those people have been the ones that have been actually working the farms. That's been harvesting your lettuce and your fruits and your vegetables, your tomatoes and your bananas. Yeah, they're the one been harvesting the food that you put on your table. But you had a problem with these people. You say they were illegal aliens, they were here illegally, they don't belong here. Well, no, there's no one to pick the same fruits and vegetables that you've been enjoying. But this mess has been perpetuated.
I'm on the who's going to care about Nebraska side of TikTok, or does anybody care about Nebraska? And I'm watching white people like respond to that white woman like, Nebraska didn't care about Nebraska. Who did you think was going to be in those positions of the immigrants you're losing, blah, blah, blah. And they're missing the point. Nebraskans thought that niggas was going to go back. Like they thought they had the early 1800s back. That's what you're not seeing. It's not like they didn't think about that. No, they knew, okay, we'll lose our immigrants, but we're going to get our slaves back. And that, my good friends, is the problem.
I have a question for the rest.
Yeah, I guess that was some of them thought. Maybe that's what Trump thought. I don't know. But, yeah, I think you need to be here legally. But America has been called a melting pot. You know how many people come from somewhere else? 90% of us, I guess you might say, come from somewhere else. And now all of a sudden, we got a problem with people that come from somewhere else? No, that's very hypocritical. That's what I can say. So, I'm your boy, Sir the Soul Man. I'm going to go ahead and bring this to a close because there's really nothing else to say.
And imagine
Nothing else to say.
at peace.
I have said
tax
what
forms by
I
your
wanted
side.
to share with you.
Tax forms? That's not peaceful.
And now I'm going to go ahead and bring this to a close. So, keep this in mind. Keep this in mind as you go through your day. Ask yourself, where's the love? Do you have any love for your brother, for your sister, for your mother? Ask yourself, where is the love? Yeah, where's the love?
You told me that you didn't love him, and you were gonna say goodbye.
That's Miss Roberta's life.
You really didn't mean it. Why did you have to lie? Where is the love you said was mine, oh mine?
Where's the love, people of God?
Was it just a lie? Where is the love?
Even though
If you had had a certain chance,
he's talking about a love between two people. But my question to you is, where's the love? If you're a Christian, if you're a believer, that's my question to you. Where's the love for your brother, for your sister, for your neighbor, for Jesus Christ? Where's the love? We're living in the last days, and Jesus says he's coming back, and he's coming back soon. He's given us all these signs, all these indications that we're the last generation. He's even written it in his word, but many people still don't believe it. But he told me 30 years ago that we're the last generation, and that we're the ones that will see Jesus return. So I hope you've been paying attention and recognizing that everything that's happening in this world, it's written in God's word. Yeah, it's written in God's word. Nothing that is happening is surprising God, and it shouldn't surprise you. If you've been reading your Bible, you will know the times and the seasons that we're living in. It has been prophesied. He has sent many prophets before now to tell you about the days that we're living now. But y'all didn't believe it. So, I'm your boy, Sir the Soul Man, prophet of Almighty God, called to preach the gospel to this last generation. And many people, unfortunately, don't believe that we're the last generation. But that's what he told me 30 years ago. He said, I've called you to usher in the second coming of Christ. So I stand on this platform and I preach the gospel of Jesus Christ because those are the instructions and the assignment God gave me. So it's not my job to argue with anyone about what thus says the Lord. It's not my job to convince anyone about what thus says the Lord. It is not even my job to convince you that we're the last generation. It is only my job to tell you what God has already written in his word. That's the job of a prophet, to tell you what God has already written in the things that God has already spoken. I'll see you next time. Be blessed, people of God. I'm Sir the SOULman. See you next time. I'm out. See you next time.